Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Victory Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Well, at least for the Bucs anyway. What a weekend of college football. What a weekend of professional football. We just love to talk about it all here, and we will chat about it all with my good friend Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. Good morning to you, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. As you can see, first of all, happy Victory Monday to everybody. We're getting used to this in Tampa Bay just a little bit. We had a little bit of a slip up last week, but we're back on track. It's okay. It's not a Victory Monday for the look at me. I'm wearing my Tampa Bay Rays for one final time for the 2024 year.
Who?
Because, yes, the Tampa Bay Rays. Their season is officially it's officially come to a close yesterday.
Yeah, we ended that about a month and a half ago.
Of course. But I wanted to represent them just one final time.
I get it. Okay.
There you go.
All right, cool. I better zip this up. That's a little much for some young kids out there. Listen, I don't even want to talk about the Rays today, but let's do that later on. Don't get me started on them because I got thoughts. But what a game by Baker Mayfield and company yesterday. A complete win by the Buccaneers over a franchise. Boy, do we have the Eagles number or what? I believe that's 5 out of the last 6, or is it 6 out of 7? I've lost count,
Hey, I do know that the combined score in the year 2024 is 56-9 between the Bucs and Eagles.
Woo. Wow. That's a lot. Listen, this was from the very beginning a demolition led by Baker Mayfield and Lavonte David, the ageless wonder. He is just freaking unbelievable. There were whispers. I heard whispers that Lavonte lost a step and maybe he wasn't as good as he once was. And I think he might have heard the whispers as well because he freaking stepped up his game in a big way, led the team in tackles, 2 sacks, a pass defense, and as I reminded him in the post game, an interception that he should have had, jokingly, of course, and he knows that as well. And that would have been, the coup de grace to an absolutely dominant performance by this defense. And that play that he makes in the third or fourth quarter, late third quarter, I think it was. It's 30-16. The Eagles have momentum there, and I think at the 22-yard line. And as he described it to me, I asked him about that particular play. He got a one-on-one called on a blitz on a running back by the name of Saquon Barkley, who's pretty tough, and he drilled him. He drilled him and kept coming. He got right in his face, extended the play, and then finally got the ball out. And that was really the play of the game because there were 2 receivers that were wide ass open. If Jalen can pull the trigger on that and get the ball out, it's a touchdown. And suddenly it's a 30-24 game. And the entire place and conditions change. The Eagles, who are dying on the vine with the heat and everything, get a jolt of energy, and suddenly they're back in the game. But as he has done so many times in his career, Lavonte came up with the biggest defensive play of the game and just shut the door right there. It was a huge play. And the way he described it, he just said, it's time to make a play. And this is what makes great teams. It's what makes champion players. It's what I've seen it so often in my career. There are just certain players that know when to step up and how to do it. Derek Brooks was a king of that. Rondé Barber was another king of that. And Tom Brady was a king of that. And guys that win championships, they have that DNA within them. And it's a time when opportunity meets preparation. And those are the moments that make champions. And all the work that you've put into film study, all the work that you've put into your physical body, all the work that you've done during the game to set up certain plays, you are ready to make it happen at that moment, and you make it happen. So many don't have the ability to do it physically or mentally, but these are the special players, and this is why wins matter. Stacking stats are one thing, but wins matter. Championships matter. Because the greatest of the great know when to make a play and have the ability to make a play when they need it. And that's what you saw from Lavonte David. And you also saw it from Baker Mayfield yesterday. You want to talk about a hot start. And Baker knew that last week was on him. To be quite frank, he knew that. He said it after the game last week. When a quarterback's making plays and he's your leader, the team follows. And when you're flat early on, you can turn it around by making plays. And Baker did not make plays last week. He had opportunities to get the ball out. He did not. And that was early in the game. They fell behind, and that was it. Script was reversed against the Eagles, right? He made every single play that he needed to make early on. Credit Liam Cohen for stealing a few pages out of Sean Payton's playbook. Take the profit every time you get it. Those corners are going to play soft. Take it. Mike Evans right out of the box. We're going to go to him. We're going to go to Chris Godwin. We're going to take these quick throws, and we're going to negate that pass rush that Vic Fangio had dialed up. He was going to take advantage of those big guys in the middle, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, against an inferior interior line, supposedly, of the Buccaneers, who held up very well, but frustrate them early on, get them out of their rhythm. And they have no success. They can't get to Brady. They're expending energy in the heat. Now they're down 14-0. Now they're down 21-0. Now they're down 24-0. And I would say the game was over, but they came back and made a nice effort at it. But that was a phenomenal start by Baker. 12 of 13, and the only miss was when Rachaad White didn't get his head around in time and missed that one in the left flat. Baker threw lasers. He was on top of it. He was going to get the ball out of his hand. And that 4th and 1 at the goal line, I don't know if he checked to that play or what, but he, first of all, takes care of Brandon Graham coming off the edge by pulling the ball out on a great fake to the running back. And then he's one-on-one with Reed Blankenship in the hole with a safety. And he just said, get your weight up, boy, because I'm fitting to run you over. And he did. And that was a huge play in the game. They don't score there. Now the Eagles come off the goal line, maybe get a drive going, and it's a total game change. So this was a win that was led by the will of Baker Mayfield, and Lavonte David and the rest of the guys in support were fantastic. Mike Evans was great. Trey Palmer with the time that he was in there. Liam Cohen, let's give him a lot of credit for dialing up a great game plan. Getting the ball out quick. They ran the ball well. Both backs, 10 yards or 10 carries, 49 yards, almost 5 yards a carry. So there's very little to not like in this game. They did everything they had to do, and this is what you see from this Bucs team. Are they perfect? They're far from it. And let's not forget to factor in all the injuries that they had. Yeah, the Eagles had injuries. So did the Bucs at key spots, and they still played great football. This is what you get from this team. And I think we're going to look back on this Broncos loss and say, you know what? That was a game where they learned that they cannot come out and just roll the ball out against an quote inferior opponent and get a W. And hopefully that intensity shows up now at the beginning of every single game like it did yesterday. And Baker Mayfield will be a part of that. Lavonte David, as the leaders of this team, will make sure that doesn't happen again. We hope, because there's a chance it could happen this week. We'll get into that. So much of this was the culture that Baker Mayfield has brought to this team and Lavonte David has brought to this team. And yes, the Tom Brady brought to this team. We'll talk about that as well. All of it you saw on display yesterday, and it makes me feel like this team has a chance. It has a chance to win something big. And there's, look around the NFC, who's better? There might be a team or two that you would mention, but on any given day, I think the Bucs can beat anybody in the NFC easily. The AFC, well, they've beaten Mahomes in the Super Bowl, so we'll say that Todd Bowles has his number. Okay, why not? Either way you look at it, this has a chance to be a very special season, and we're going to develop this as we go on through the week. When Kalijah Cansey gets back and Vita Vea are playing, when those two play together, the Bucs don't lose. So there's room for growth here, especially defensively. There's room for growth. And I think offensively as well. I think Liam Cohen will get better as the year goes on. So it's a lot of good today, Nick. It's a lot of good, and I think it portends for a lot of good down the line for this Buccaneers team.
Yeah, the thing that I love the most about yesterday's game, there's a lot, but coming off the loss against Denver, you look towards the leaders of this team and the guys who are getting paid big money. And I'm looking at those guys to sort of galvanize the group and get back out there against the Eagles are a rival for sure, but not a divisional rival, but definitely a team you've had their number for sure. And they want to knock you off eventually. And I look at the best players throughout that game yesterday. It's Mike Evans, it's Baker Mayfield, it's Chris Godwin, it's Lavonte David, it's Vita Vea. Those 5 guys, I think, were the best players in that game yesterday. Yep. You could probably list them however you want, 1 to 5, but they were all game wreckers at certain points. And those are all the 5 dudes. You could throw Wirfs in there as well, who I thought probably had his best game of the season. Maybe I don't recall Tristan Wirfs really getting beat at all in that game. So throw those 6 guys in there, the ones that are all getting the big money. They led the way. And I never get tired of talking about the greatness of Lavonte David. And I'll say it. I thought the play of the game was the forced fumble. I thought that was the play of the game. I know the Bucs at that time were up, 30 to 16? Yeah. It was 30 to 16 at that time. But given what had led up to that moment, remember there was a Cam Johnson dropped touchdown.
Oh,
that was and that's unfortunate because I knew after that I'm like, well, he's not going to get another target the rest of the day. And be tough to go back to him moving forward. But so he drops that interception. He drops that touchdown, and it felt like there was a slight momentum shift after that. Yep. And then even when the Bucs were able to score to go back up by I think 3 scores there, made it 30 to 14. Then you have the blocked extra point where the new punter, who I don't even think we should call him the new punter because after his performance yesterday, I think he's going right back down to the P squad because he 35 yards averaged a punt and can't push out one dude when he's right next to him to prevent that from happening.
Mark Royals, where are you?
Exactly. So after that, I'm like, wow, that's a little bit of a momentum shift right there. And then that next drive, all of a sudden, Saquon Barkley, they're getting him going. Dallas Goedert is making some really nice catches, contested catches. Jalen Hurts was getting in a little bit of a groove. And I'm like, I've seen this story before with the Buccaneers defense. Yep. I've seen this story before. And then out of nowhere, Todd Bowles brings the blitz. He blows up Saquon Barkley. And then part of this is on Jalen Hurts, who it's like you watched Lavonte David kind of whiff on you the first time, but you know that he's right there. And Jalen Hurts is just standing there, like not doing anything. And it's like, you can move, I know you can move, but he just stands there. And Lavonte David is a veteran. He takes advantage of it. That was the play of the game, in my opinion. And after that, the entire Buccaneer defense, that's when they really turned the corner. And you talk about getting pressure and taking advantage of the fact that Lane Johnson was not in that football game. And by the way, the Eagles are now 14-23 without Lane Johnson in the lineup. That is a real statistic, folks.
That was a Sal Pal stat on Friday.
Absolutely. Yeah. And after that moment, that's where they got a lot of those pressure. What'd they have? Like 3-4 sacks maybe in that fourth quarter. Like they completely took over the game. Like you give Todd Bowles a lead. I mean, that's obviously where his defense thrives the most. They are so good, I feel like, playing, in front than having to chase the game. Todd Bowles as a play caller defensively wise. And then, you mentioned a lot of the things on the offense. We talk a lot about how Todd Bowles has had some of his Picasso moments, and he had it against Philly last year in the playoff game. I thought this was the Liam Cohen Picasso performance. I don't know how much better it could have gotten offensively. Like they ran for what 100 and where was it at 111 yards, 4.4 yards per carry.
The yards per carry is the deal.
It's not great, but you know what?
It's efficient.
When you're throwing for 347 yards, that's all I need. That's all I need. If you can give me 100 yards every single game on the ground, which is probably what average in the context of the NFL, or a little bit below. But with the passing game that you have and the ability and the receivers and the play calling was fantastic today. I mean, right from the moment, I thought Liam Cohen was in his bag. It was very creative ways to get Mike the football, Chris getting him the football, and then Sterling Shepard. Nice to see ya. You're wide receiver 3 on this football team. I mean, where is that been?
Wait a minute. Trey Palmer has an argument for you, my friend.
Trey Palmer only shows up against the Eagles.
Well, I don't care. He showed up. He showed up in a big that catch in the end zone, bro. That was a spectacular catch.
I was surprised he caught it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised he caught it.
Oh, me too. I'm shocked when I saw when I saw the ball, I said, "Oh, great!" Because I needed a Godwin touchdown yesterday for my parlay, and I didn't get it. Cost me $500. Everything else cashed. But I thought that was Godwin. I was like, "Oh, great catch, Godwin, yes!" And I'm like, "Holy shiz, that was Palmer. Palmer caught that ball in that traffic. Are you kidding me?" That was a hell of a throw. Maybe not an advised throw, but a hell of a throw. It's funny when you win like this, those throws go through and you catch them. And when you lose, that gets deflected up in the air and it's an interception. Right. And it's just sometimes it's just a matter of luck. Listen, this was a beatdown, but it's interesting even how close some of these games can be with you just changed 2 or 3 plays. The first play of the game, was it the first offensive play for the Eagles? I think it was, where Jalen rolls to his right and JTS is covering Barkley on a wheel route. And JTS, as Jalen gets out of the pocket to the right, JTS stops running with him. I don't know why. He just stops running. And Barkley ends up 10 yards behind him. Yeah. Like 10 yards behind him because he just stopped running. When he saw Jalen get out to the right, scrambling and open to throw the ball, why do you stop running? And Barkley's just standing there alone. Burkhart's like, he is wide open. And Jalen throws it 10 yards.
The ball was terrible.
We're just quacking the whole way. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, think about that. He hits him open. He just stops, catches the ball, and walks in. And JTS, what are you doing? First of all, why are you on him man to man? Like, who drew that up? But that would have been an unbelievable, terrible moment for the Buccaneers. And on the second drive, Goddard drops a nice pass that Jalen dropped in there that would have given them a first down close to midfield. And it kind of changes the game a little bit. And, Baker was great. And whatever he had to do to win the game, they would have won the game. But, sometimes you look at those plays that almost were and how they could have changed the game. But the bottom line was the Bucs got it done in every single way possible.
Yeah, and back to the running game, because I feel like that was an important piece. I know that they only ran the ball, 20 times in this football game? Because Bucky and Rashad both had 10 carries for 49 yards. I mean,
but
talk about that.
Why run the ball when and that's what I agree. In my notes, it's like Sean Payton, off coverage, take it. I mean, it was like Liam Cohen looked at that tape from last week and said, "Why aren't we doing this?"
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Like some people were saying. Some people were saying that the Bucs, when they got the big lead, should have started running the ball a little bit more. And I was like, no. You haven't shown me that that's the way you play. I don't want to divert from that. Your strength is passing the football. That's what you need to be. But I did want to mention the running game because I thought I saw some differences today that helped it. And it's such a minor thing. Like there seemed to be like more gap runs, I thought, in this football game.
Way more gap runs.
And it's so clear, like, because this was like some of the and I was part of it too before I was able to see the tape last Monday. Like when you see the numbers that Bucky was putting up and the numbers that Rashad was putting up, the calls that were for Bucky were so much more advantageous for a running back than the calls for Rashad. And in this game today, they kind of got the same calls they had for Bucky. Rashad got some of those too. And I mean like some of these like gap runs and everything where they're not just going straight up the middle and everything. And trying to run through their interior.
They're pulling guards and they're counter trapping.
It's a little bit, it's a tiny little bit more creative. And then you saw today that evened out and they literally had the same stat line.
How about that? And not only that, though, like Josh Capo's piece and Peter report last week, you saw that gap runs versus zone runs was almost a 4-yard per carry difference. I mean, that's massive. Yeah. And I think I saw 1 or 2 zone runs that worked. Rashad White bounced one outside, got a great block on the edge from Payne Durham, and Chris Godwin, he bounced it outside and got 11 yards. I thought Rashad White ran great yesterday.
He did.
I thought that, again, 4.4 compared to what is his normal average, about 2.1 per carry. Yeah, I mean, it's light years different when it's the difference between a positive play on first down and a negative play. 2 yards is a negative play. 4 yards, 5 yards is a positive play. 2nd and 5, you got the whole playbook. 2nd and 8, you don't. And that's such a huge part of good offensive football and staying ahead of the chains. And I think Liam said, look, if you're going to play off coverage, we're going to take those shots and just until you pull up, and then we'll go behind you. Just, like Baker said after the game, and it's cliche, I know, but taking what the defense gives you. The defense will determine where the ball is going. And, they try to play Godwin man-to-man on third down, and Baker rolled out sidearm throws, and Godwin's catching the balls. And, I think Brady basically said yesterday that Chris Godwin is the best receiver that he's ever thrown to.
Yeah.
He was glossing him all day long, and rightfully so. How long have I said this? That Chris Godwin is a top 5 receiver in the league. And I think if you ask Tom Brady, and people will tell you you're crazy. People will tell you you're nuts. But ask Tom Brady, I think he'll tell you he is.
Right. And I was going to say, too, the other thing that was this is partly on Baker, and I'm sure this is partly on Liam Cohen as well, in the game plan here. Because remember, what was the story the last 2 games offensively? It was, hey, Luke Geddeke's not playing.
Right.
And Justin Schooley can't really hold up on an island like that. And the entire offensive line is struggling, to sort of play together. And obviously when you allow 7 sacks against Denver, there's a lot of reflection required. I don't think I heard Justin Schooley's name one time on the broadcast yesterday. I'm sure he did not play a perfect game. I can't recall at the top of my head who allowed the couple sacks, but I did not hear Justin Schooley's name all day. And the reason why is because Liam Cohen finally figured out how in the world can I possibly sort of hide this guy? Well, the ball's got to come out fast.
Exactly.
And Baker Mayfield, the ball came out under 2.5 seconds on 32 of his 47 pass attempts. And on those, he went 22 of 32 for 219 and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield getting the ball out probably as quick as I've ever seen him in a Buccaneer uniform. And look how magical it was. Look how magical.
Like I said, all week long, what did we talk about? The team, the coaching staff that can hide their injuries and take advantage of the other teams will win this game. Todd Bowles came up with a brilliant plan defensively where he was going to stop Saquon Barkley and stop the Jalen Hurts runs. Hurts only had 20 yards rushing total. He pressured him all day long, kept him from getting clean pockets and throwing to, I thought, Goddard was going to get his. I think for the most part, they kept him from making the big plays. So I thought it was a brilliant game plan. And then offensively, what did they do? Get the ball out quick and stay out of the middle of the field. They weren't running up the middle against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Why would you do that? That's where they have an advantage. Get the ball on the perimeters.
Well, this is where the Bucs also had the advantage because those two dudes could hardly stay on the field together because they were too busy throwing up. I didn't full disclosure, I skipped going outside yesterday for the most part because I was exhausted after being outside for a large part of the day prior in Orlando. And it was hot.
Yeah.
So I did not experience the heat, but I'm watching that game on TV and I'm like, man, we lived it. We know how hot it gets. But yesterday, from everything I was seeing, was like, it looked a little different almost. Like there were so many guys throwing up. Baker's changing pants at halftime. I mean, it looked absolutely brutal. But the best part was the Eagle fans that were in attendance. They got to sweat their ass off, and they had to go home with their swamp ass and a nice fresh L. So there you go.
Swamp ass. And it was swamp ass. I went down at halftime to do some fan interviews for our upcoming MOR TV. And it was so freaking hot. It was so freaking, everybody's just drenched and they're drinking. And they sold a lot of drinks yesterday, I bet. Yeah. I saw a couple of ambulances pull up after the game.
Yeah.
Probably taking people away. I
saw on the broadcast, like Mike went to the locker room for an IV. Yeah. Like there were multiple Eagles players that just like could not go back in the game.
Yeah.
But the Bucs didn't seem to have as big of a problem with that as the Eagles did, that's the part of the advantage.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I don't really believe that, but I think yesterday it definitely might have had, and that's a good game to get out front early. You don't want to try to come back when the heat's like that. It just, from a mental standpoint, it's too hard. It's easy to be a front runner when it's 107. Not easy, but it's much easier to be a front runner when it feels like 107 than it does, trying to climb a 24-0 hill. That's brutal.
And to the point, by the way, As you were mentioning, like one team hid their injuries better than the other. I will say it's a little bit hard to hide what you have on the outside yesterday. Like I'm not going to ignore that.
Right.
No AJ Brown, no Lavonte Smith. I mean, throw into Jahan Dotson. This is the first time I've heard John Ross's name since he's been drafted 7 years ago, and he was wearing number 38, which is a horrible number for a receiver, by the way. And I can't even remember the other dudes.
Sean Atkins.
That's true, Sean Atkins. Although
38 special. 38 special.
38. That was the difference of their game, right? That's how much they lost by on Saturday.
Ooh,
okay.
ouch, man.
I can't talk much. But yeah, the Grant Calcaterras of the world, the Paris Campbells of the world, the Jack Stolls of the world, like that made it obviously much easier for Todd Bowles to game plan around. But obviously, you knew you had to stop Saquon Barkley. The greatest thing is, yes, he had 10 for 84, but he got 59 of that on one run.
Right.
So he went otherwise 9 for 25 yards.
25, yeah.
I mean, and there you go. You stopped Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, as well as you could have. And then another star performance yesterday. And again, I get it because the Eagles were depleted at receiver, but Zion McCollum had a walk in the park yesterday. Yep. He allowed 2 catches for 5 yards. I mean, Zion McCollum, not just cornerback 1 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was reaffirmed yesterday on the one play that Jamel Dean refused to try to even be physical with Saquon Barkley. I don't know what Jamel's doing sometimes. But Zion McCollum is one of the best corners in the entire league this year. Entire league. And that is a huge development.
I want to get to some comments here, and I want to get to a couple other things before we hit the first break. By the way, Pat Burnham will join us at 11 o'clock to talk FSU. We'll get to that, and we'll talk with Corey Long, who's going to talk some college football with us, FSU, USF, UCF, and some Bucks as well. They're a little lightning as well. Covers them. So we'll talk to those two guys in our second hour. So as quickly, you were at the UCF game. I was disappointed. I thought UCF would put up a much better fight defensively. Colorado had their way offensively, did whatever they wanted. Hats off to Shedeur and Dion and God, Travis Hunter's really good. He
is the greatest college football player I have ever watched live. There's just nobody close.
I know I won't go that far, but I know
I have a much shorter to go off of than you.
But the Heisman campaign was on during that game, no question about that. But he deserves it. He deserves it. I don't know how you could give it to anybody else at this point. I don't see anybody else that's running away with it from a quarterback standpoint. So
I hate that he won't get much. He might be in NYC for it, but this Ashton Genty kid is got 845 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns in 4 games. Yeah. That's like Barry Sanders pace right there.
But he'll play some tougher competition. I haven't even looked at their schedule. But
they played Oregon. He played Oregon, and he absolutely torched them. So
yeah, that's true.
But Travis Hunter, to me, especially there's no quarterback to me. Like Cam Ward took a step back this week. Beck obviously took a step back this week. Milroe was starting to emerge, but outside of that, I don't see that quarterback that's sort of like taking that award.
Yeah. Yeah. But you said, what happened?
The UCF defense is cheeks. Just completely. They have the UCF defense has got cheeks. They're awful. The UCF defense has 3 sacks in 4 games, and they were going up against Colorado, who had allowed 16 or 17 sacks going into the game and got sacked 8 times the week prior against Baylor. Like, that's just not going to cut it. Shedeur Sanders had time all day to throw. The defense just stinks. They gave up 400-plus passing yards to TCU the past week. Like, I've known this. And then offensively, Colorado's run defense has been much improved. It's top 15 nationally now. And they stopped the number 1 rushing attack in the nation. Our RJ Harvey held to 77 rushing yards. Not the greatest performance for him. It was just bad. It was really, really bad.
Well, it wasn't
the big noon was really fun though.
Yeah. Oh, was it? It would look like a great atmosphere.
It was the largest big noon kickoff crowd in history by a mile.
Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, UCF came out. They definitely got some recruits. It would have been nice to follow up with there
were 300 plus recruits were in the house for that.
Yeah. They like what they saw from Colorado, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then listen, when you're building a program and UCF obviously is still building, these are huge moments and you want to shine in them, and it doesn't always happen. But that was a missed opportunity, a real missed opportunity. And, I mean, I don't even know where to start with FSU, and we'll talk a lot more about this with Pat, but it's just it's disgusting. It's disgusting is the word that comes to mind. The players quit in the second half. That was obvious. The quarterback is so god awful, and the coach is worse. I've never seen two worse calls in my life on the goal line, third and goal from the 5 or 6, and you're calling quarterback power with the slowest quarterback in the history of quarterbacks in a play that you don't even run. And you shouldn't run. You shouldn't run. And in this moment, the biggest moment of the game, you call 2 quarterback power runs in a row on 3rd and 4th down, and you have Toa Feely in the backfield, and you're asking him to be a lead blocker. Like, if you're going to run play, why would you have him as the lead blocker? None of it makes sense. And, of course, he whiffs on the safety who makes the tackle on the first one. And then you run when you have everybody. You have one guy wide out there who's man-to-man, Hakeem Williams, who's 6'5", on a 5'10" corner. He's slant, fade, whatever you want. I don't care. But from the 3-yard line, you're running quarterback power with the slowest quarterback in the history of quarterbacks, and he doesn't even get to the line of scrimmage. And you don't even have an offensive line that pushes anybody, even SMU. Like, it's the most two of the most ridiculous calls. Like, at this point, really, it seems like Mike Norvell is trying to get fired. Like, I think maybe something happened. I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but there's no way anybody who has been who's ever played the game of football, even for a day, or watched the game of football for a day, can look at this quarterback and say, oh, yeah, you got to stick with him. I don't care about what Brock Glenn looked like. I mean, you don't even get him ready in practice like you should be getting him ready. I don't care. You don't have why do you not go? If you're going to run power, run Wildcat with Toa Feely, who is which you used to run all the freaking time. You ran an in the ACC championship game. What are you like? None of this makes any sense from a football standpoint whatsoever. And so you have to look for other answers. What the F is going on? And I don't know. You can't fire him. You owe him $60 million. Maybe he decided he don't want to coach anymore. And I'm just done with after the snub. I'm done. Give me my contract. I'm going to walk off in the sunset. What's the point? I mean, maybe. Who knows? Maybe he's had a mental breakdown. I don't know. It looks like it to me. Mike Alford, the athletic director, needs to get in there, and you can't fire him. I get it. But take away his decision-making. You're the boss. Say, nope, this guy's playing quarterback. Fire me. No, I'm not going to fire you.
Mike Norvell, number one. Mike Norvell, number one, needs to about at least half the staff needs to be fired because most of them have no interest in recruiting whatsoever. And if you're not going to recruit, well, I need you to be really good on Saturdays. And they're horrible on Saturdays. They're either, remember the whole thing, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it and all those things.
Yeah.
They're doing all of it. Like they're doing all of it. They're coaching it bad. The players are playing it bad. The effort is getting terrible. It's 14-9, and I'm already seeing guys putting piss poor effort out on the field, especially from a tackling standpoint.
It's comical.
It really is. Like they have
a lot more with Pat Burnham. So we'll save our takes for that. But I just want to get it in the first segment here. And quickly, USF, what a disappointment. What a disappointment at Tulane. And, as crazy as USF Twitter has been all year long, and I haven't come down on you guys too much because, you're feeling your oats. I get it. I try to remind you didn't beat anybody with a winning record last year. Calm down. Yes, you went toe-to-toe with Alabama is great, fantastic. It's a building block for the program, no question about it. You had the lead against Miami. This is good stuff. It's good stuff, but calm down. Calm down. We're going to the Big Ten. They're getting a bid over FSU. We're going – calm down. Calm down. You just won a few games, and then this happens at Tulane. I mean, woof. You're not even competitive. Not even competitive. And right on cue, USF Twitter, fire Golish. Everybody, fire. He's not it. We got to make a I'm like, calm down. Calm down. Come on. USF, listen, you're getting into the big time, getting back into the big time where Levitt once had you. This takes time. Stop with the knee-jerk reactions. Just chill out. Build the program. Stay supportive. Chill out. Calm down. Golish has got something. It takes a left turn every now and then. When you can't get first downs with that offense, the defense is in trouble. And that's what happened. So he's got to tweak some things. He's got to be better at some things, but just chill the F out.
I mean, you're asking a fan base to chill out that has literally watched their team get outscored 95-25 over the last 2 weeks.
I get it.
And you're asking them to chill out?
Well, but the reason is your expectations.
Should you chill out? Should you chill out on Florida State?
Oh, I'm completely chill on Florida State. I'm laughing. I was laughing at the TV the other day. I'm like, this is so laughable. It's so laughable. Listen, USF's better than FSU. Way better than FSU.
Oh, FSU is probably the second worst Power 4 team that I've seen all year.
I would tell you that most Group of 5 teams could beat FSU. Most, like if not all.
Oh, there were a lot that would run right through them. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. And he can't score any points. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. But we'll get to that. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, we're going to do more. But we got Buck Sound. We got lots of Buck Sound that I want to get to. So we're going to do that when we come back, and we're going to hit the Baker versus Brady thing. That, of course, right on cue. Get Up had to jump into that.
They led with that.
Oh, that's what I heard. I didn't watch Get Up this morning. I was watching tape, so I didn't watch Get Up. But I've heard that they went all in on the Get Ups on Get Up. I'm interested to see how stupid they sound because it's always funny. But I'll get to that later in the day. But we got it, and we have our take on it, and we'll hear from Brady and Baker. All right, we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves is the man. If you have any issues with the hurricane, I know, listen, and we probably should have started the show with this. We talked about it on Friday, but, our hearts and thoughts and prayers and everything going out to the people who have just been devastated by this. So many of my friends, can't even met Rich Hollenberg, Paul Wilson, the guys that come on the show all the time, their homes, their entire first floor of their homes destroyed. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. So many people, that just don't have a chance. But for God's sakes, get these people help. They're 1 penny of American money should be going overseas to any stupid wars until we fix North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and the Americans that have been so hard hit by this. And it's going to take years to recover from this. And they need help immediately. And a lot of them aren't getting it. A lot of them aren't getting it at all. So we need to step up. And if you have any problem with your insurance company, the Jeeves Law Group will represent you. So whatever your issues are, call them, get a case evaluation for free, and see if they can help you. Because these insurance companies, they're going to entrench, and they are not going to want to pay a penny. So you're going to need some representation probably to get what's yours and what you've paid for over the years in your insurance company. Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com will represent you. And they're local here, they're trusted, and they get results. All right, quick break. When we come back, you'll hear from Baker Mayfield. You'll hear from Lavonte David. You'll hear from Tom Brady. All that good stuff coming up next. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. TrueBody offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
And welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your new primary care physician, Chris Lugo, as Nick and I have done, to direct your medical decisions and everything they do. Get personalized nutrition, get personalized workouts, help you sleep better, all that stuff that keeps you well, not just giving you a prescription when you get sick. So go to a doctor that's going to look at all facets of your health and keeping you healthy and living a better life. Be better when you're healthy and you're not having to deal with sickness and all those things. Life is so much better. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your appointments right there and tell them JP sent you. Get to some comments here real quick, partner. I thought I had some great comments early on. So let's get to this before we get to the sound. James jumps in, says, just a quick comment on FSU. Norvell is 3-12 without Jordan Travis. His offense is a national joke. What high school quarterback wants to be in that scheme? Program in deep trouble. New real OC in DC must be hired. Totally agree on all fronts, James. You have nailed it. Good morning to you, Nick, or Nathan Elliott, and all our viewers. Bucks win. Had a great time at the Philly beatdown tailgate party. I'm going to get there before the season's over, partner. I will get there. I promise you. Just been tough on the time schedule lately. What else we got here? RJ Martin, prayers to everyone in the area that was affected by the hurricane. Absolutely, brother. It's just heartbreaking what's going on. Buck Spaceman, good morning to you. Brady got a standing ovation at the stadium, so that was great to see. Interesting Brady situation in this game. We got to get into all that. Lonnie Wilkins says the area needed a good Bucks win after the hurricane. My folks did okay in Indian Rocks Beach. Wow, at their building, but my heart aches for the entire state. The Pinellas Coast got trucked, and not even from a direct hit. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a direct hit. Sometimes the side swipes are even worse. Somebody in here said something. I think it was Michael LaRue. Where is that? There it is. I said I felt like the media could have done a better job of warning people of the storm surge instead of focusing on sensationalizing the rain and wind for ratings. Michael, I think a lot of people took this for granted. Storm surge. I heard the media talking about the storm surge, And that's what we were talking about, is this when you get that right quadrant, when the storm's just off, it's almost worse than a direct hit, because especially in Tampa Bay, because it funnels the water up the very shallow bay and onto obviously the coastal areas as well that are so low. And, we saw it in Fort Myers last year or 2 years ago. And, people should have taken heed then. I'm not saying this is all on the people, Michael, but, and here's the other problem with this, with evacuations. When people evacuate, the officials don't let them back in for 2 or 3 days, sometimes weeks. And that's why people don't leave. I saw comments up and down Facebook, and it's like, people, you should have left. And it's like, I can't leave because they won't let us back in afterwards. And if you don't get back into your home within 24 hours and rip all that stuff out, the mold is on its way. And you need to be there to mitigate the damages that are happening to your home. So I get it for people. And this is a problem that I'm not sure I have the answers, because it's hard for the law enforcement people to let people back into a situation that is unsafe, right? If there's power lines down, but it seems like they take way too long to get that stuff taken care of. So people don't want to leave. And that's where we're at right now, because I saw a lot of people saying that. And if I lived on the coast, I think I'd be the same way, because once you get off, you can't get back on until they let you.
I tell you what, it was. I don't know how much of you saw of the Tampa area yesterday when you made the drive. You probably went straight to the stadium. But like yesterday morning, me and Casey drove around downtown a little bit and went through Davis Island. I mean, the amount of trash and mattresses and carpet and furniture, it was every single home. And it was stacked probably 12 feet high, every home.
Yeah.
It was crazy. You had a million different carpet company trucks just everywhere. Boats are scattered. Everything's still basically closed because of all the damage to all those local businesses. Remember, the local businesses take a huge hit here, and that's their livelihood.
Yeah, all those restaurants on Davis Islands, OG, 22nd Street, the Anchor Bar, all these great places. Yeah, all these great places, margaritas. I frequented my entire life. They took on 3-4 feet of water. I mean, all of their equipment done. And I don't even know when they'll be able to reopen, but when they do, we have to support all these local businesses, these local restaurants. They lose 3 or 4 days of cash flow. It's hard to recover. I'm talking 3 or 4 days, not 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 days. Most of them are still, if they survived COVID, they're still recovering financially. This is going to be a death blow for so many small businesses. It's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking to see this stuff. And there's really, nothing you can do about it. I mean, at this point, though, everything that's built on Davis Island has got to be built 10 feet off the ground. You have to. I mean, everything has to be, everything else. Most of those homes were just on the ground. My old house on Davis Island probably had 4 or 5 feet of water in it. And it never happened when I lived there for 10 years. We had some big storms, but you knew this was coming at some point. So yeah, Davis Island's absolutely, and that's where Baker lives, and a bunch of the players live. Lots of Lightning players live there as well. So their homes are, they can't live there.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm not making a positive out of this situation, but did you hear the crazy story just on the topic of this, and we can move on? Did you hear the crazy story on the broadcast yesterday about Tom Moore? Did you hear about this?
Which part?
Aaron Andrews did a little report because they were talking about Tom Moore, 85 years old, still coaching. Yeah. Tom loves him. Tom was talking him up on the broadcast.
Yeah.
So apparently, it might have been, I guess it was Friday. Tom Moore woke up at, he got to his car at 3 a.m. to try to go to the Bucs facility. He noticed that his car was filled with water and was like, well, I guess I can't drive. And so Tom Moore, at the age of 85 years old at 3 a.m, who lives 4 miles away from apparently one Buck, decided, I'm going to walk. Tom Moore walks about 3/4 of the way to the Bucs facility in the middle of the night on Friday because he could not get in his car because there was water filled with it. And then eventually a Buccaneer staff member who was driving saw him on the side of the road and picked him up and took him back to the facility. And I was like, I thought it was hilarious. Tom Moore at 85 years old doing that.
it just goes to the mindset of older people, and I love the mindset. I got to get to work. Well, I can't drive. I can walk. Okay.
Yeah. And in our heads, it's like you're a very,
we're all
old
looking for
man
excuses
in the middle of the night. I know, but I'm just like,
hey, Tom, where are you?
It's just so crazy because like he's an older man in the middle of the night. You don't know what's going on. There was just a hurricane that came through, and he's like, I'm walking.
Not saying that's smart though, Tom. You probably need to be a little smarter. Very dedicated. I love that, but not very smart. What else do we have? Let's get to the Baker and Tom stuff because this is big news. All right, so this is what, first of all, Baker and Tom talked before the game, and I wasn't privy to the conversation, but they were laughing. They were laughing, so clearly they were talking. I'm sure it got brought up, his comments, which were completely taken out of context, and so on the background of that, and that Fox is going into this. And clearly they had the graphic prepared. They talk about this in rehearsal. And Tom said, I'm going all in on Baker Mayfield on these comments. And I think Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt.
He was kind of poking the bear a little bit too. Like
he did a good job. Like, we want to hear you, Tom. We want to hear what you had to say.
He was not going to let Tom get off with just a few comments.
Yeah.
So I think Fox was like, we're going to play this up big time. So I think this is the one that has all the comments on it. Here we go.
Start and took a little playful jab at our guy here. Said, quote, they wanted me to come in, be myself, bring the joy back to football for guys who weren't having as much fun. It's funny because you've made this environment for me very stressful up here in the booth, so I understand where it's coming from.
Do you feel it?
No.
No. Well, I was going to say, I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
Yeah, so, as you were saying, go ahead. That's you feel like, I feel like there's more
on camera.
There's a way to approach this game, and it's that with the right mindset and try to push each other outside of our comfort zone, and great teammates do that. You come in, I have someone like Gronkowski, I have someone like Evans. There's high expectations for us. We got to make sure we go out there and deliver.
The competitive juice is still flowing.
It's still in there. I love no apologies.
Well, Baker's Bucks right now looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Now it's up to the Eagles can wait.
Pretty interesting. It was clear that Tom was not. I was saddened that he didn't say, well, we talked before the game, and I think his comments were taken out of context, just talking about different leadership styles. I think that would have been nicer for Tom to play it that way. He could have taken that choice, but he chose not to. And I think it was kind of I think both are right here, right? I think Baker was correct in talking about that, what Tom brought in, but it was never meant to be derogatory in any way. He said he's the GOAT. This is his leadership style, win 7 championships. And everybody, of course, is like, oh, Baker, you suck. You've not won anything. And now you're going to rip on the GOAT. No, that's not what he did. That's not what he did. And Baker talked about it after the game as well. Let me think. I believe these are his comments. Hopefully I get this right. Oh, no, hold on. I think it's this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of that got taken out of context. And none of it was personal by any means. It's just, what he demanded of the guys. And that's the aura of Tom Brady. And that's what he did to bring a championship here. And so nothing personal, but talking before the game, he's obviously happy for me. He knows the guys. So he knows how much I enjoy throwing to Mike and Chris because he got to do the same. And so it's fun to be able to, talk about the same experience with a guy like that.
And we heard his competitive fire a little bit too on the broadcast when he said, well, this wasn't a daycare.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, a lot of things got taken out of context. He did it his own way, and that's why he has 7 rings. So, not much else needs to be said.
Baker, you had a big scramble on, I think it was on a 3rd down. Is that something you're being more intentional about, using your legs in those situations?
Trying to spit the ball out when I can, but just the rush pattern they had spiked inside, so I was able to get on the edge. Had Mike coming across I think Slay was holding him a little bit, but yeah, just really trying to deliver the ball to Mike. But if not, then there's a clear lane for me to go.
Well, I think we got. I think that was a good response by Baker, and I think he summed it up pretty well. What do you think?
He didn't take the bait. I mean, maybe the older Baker would have gotten into a back and forth here about it, but
it's a great point.
There's a mutual respect there. I mean, they talked on the field. Obviously, that was before Brady made the comment on the broadcast. But I think we said this even when Baker made the comments and we talked about it originally. I think both are probably neither way's wrong. I mean, nobody leads the same way, and nobody's led the way that Tom Brady has. I mean, that's why he's one of one. And there was no way that Baker Mayfield or anybody could ever fill the shoes necessarily of Tom Brady and be exactly the same way. Every team has to take on its new identity and a new culture and everything. And I laud Baker for stepping into those shoes and not trying to be like Tom Brady. And you've heard Bowles talk about this as well. And Jason Licht, the same thing. He's been his own dude. And the way the players played hard for Tom, I think they play hard for Baker because they see the competitiveness. I think it comes out in a little bit differently. Tom, I think, is more like with his words, and he's fiery and all those stuff. And, he's doing the thing in the end zone before the game. Like, you feed off that energy. Baker has the ability to do it during the actual flow of the game because he can take off with his legs. And you see yesterday, like when he has the rushing touchdown, it's a small thing, but like he invites that contact sometimes and that gets him going. And I think the team feeds off that. So 2 different ways of leading. I think both are okay. Obviously one got him 7 Super Bowls. So how am I going to argue with that? But it makes for juicy talk on the sports shows, I will say.
And I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but they hadn't run that zone read play, as far as I remember, all year long. Have they? Where Baker can pull it and run? I haven't seen it.
I don't know. They're getting more confident using Baker as a runner because he's doing pretty well.
I wonder if Baker checked to that. I mean, 4th and 1. That's the biggest offensive play of the game. And Bowles goes for it, by the way. Kudos there. Got to. And he pulls it, and then it's him one-on-one with the safety. Now, that safety is going to get freaking cooked in Blankenship's going to get freaking cooked in film because you're one-on-one with the quarterback, and he kind of waited for Baker, too, with the 1-yard line. I'm not sure why he didn't attack Baker right away. Very poor technique, and then he got run over. I mean, he got run over at the goal line by a quarterback who's not Cam Newton. So, I mean, and then Baker celebrated that, and Brady celebrated it, too. I don't know if I thought there might be a little jealousy there because that's not something Brady could ever have done, ever. There's only one quarterback ever in the history of football that's slower than Tom Brady. Thank you, DJU. So this was I don't know if it was a Baker moment saying, hey Tom, check this out. Watch this. I don't know. I'm hopeful that it was.
Of course you're hopeful that it was. There you go, stirring things up.
Yes, I am. So you got the Baker Brady post match love affair. Want to run that?
Yeah, I guess Brady does his little MVP after the game, and I think he gave it to Baker. So they did like a little quick interview on the field.
Hey Baker, congratulations, winning the LFG Player of the Game. Awesome performance, 30 of 47. You had about 6 drops in there that we counted. You were super efficient today. It started on the opening drive. Tell me what the plan was going in. You got off to such a fast start.
Appreciate it. Just with this front that they have, knowing the big guys they have up front, getting the ball out early, letting our guys make plays in space and seeing what kind of tackles we can break.
It says LFG.
Guys were locked in on the plan. We're dialed in on the details, and so that's why we started that fast.
Yeah, and tell me about, obviously, the relationship with Mike Evans. And believe me, everyone loves throwing to Mike. And when I was here, I was finding him on every play. And I said to KB, if I'm him, I'm throwing him to the first play of the game. And there you go. You fire the hitch out there to him and get him rolling. I know that always gets some juice flowing for him. How did he look to you out there today?
He looked great. I mean, as hot as it was today, guys are rotating in and out, but Mike's a stud, as you know. So, yeah, just trying to get him going early is something we didn't do last week that we realized we needed to.
Yeah, and now you're 4 games into the season, got into a good start. This is kind of where you want to be in September football. What are you looking to establish as you go forward here?
Yeah, obviously, kind of separated into quarters of the season, 3-1 this quarter, but we got a short week, got a divisional opponent on the road on a Thursday. So for us, just continue to be efficient on offense, be locked in on the plan, start fast, and let our defense get their pressures on.
Yeah, quick turnaround for you. Good luck in Atlanta. And last thing, you've had this Liam Cohen, it's his 4th time calling plays. And I thought he did an awesome job today, really eliminating the impact of that defensive front. Tell me about your relationship with him.
I love Liam. We have a very good relationship, just the communication back and forth. He was dialed in today, just understanding the strengths of their defense and how we needed to attack it. And thought the whole day, we didn't make enough plays for him. We should have been more efficient, but he was dialed in.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Great leadership by you today. I love seeing it out there. Good luck the rest of the year. Keep putting some pressure on those guys to be even better. I know what you guys are capable of. Keep going out there and grinding and getting it done.
Appreciate you, Tom. Good to see you, brother.
Great seeing you. Great job.
Keep putting pressure on him. This ain't daycare, Baker. God damn it. He had to put that in at the end. Keep putting pressure on him to be better. Oh, my. If I want to have fun, I go to Disneyland, Baker. I'm sorry. Is that not hilarious that he had to throw that in at the end?
I was bothered that Tom got it wrong, and he had to use that zinger there, and you could tell he had that one queued up for this game. And it's like, Tom, it's not Disneyland, it's Disney World. Like, that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
It bothered me just you got it wrong.
Well, and then the peeps, I saw this on Twitter. Somebody said, "Well, clearly you didn't take your kids to Disneyland enough."
Oh man!
Shots fired. Listen, and to James says it here. Brady was very complimentary of the Bucs. I was disappointed that Fox made this an issue. Reminds me of CNN. They did. It was clear that I can just hear the producers going, "Oh yeah, Tom, you got to go in on Baker. You really got to go. We're going to give you time. We're going to set it up. We're going to have it in the rundown. We'll make a graphic, and I really want you to go." And like he did his thing, and then of course Burkhart's got to go. "Oh, we're on camera now. Let's not. You said a lot more after. I mean, come on." It was almost like Fox was egging him on to do all.
Did you see what Fitzpatrick tweeted about it?
I did. I retweeted it. Yeah,
Fitzy, man.
Fitz magic. I guess.
Fitzy
and Brady aren't.
Well, isn't Fitzy he's that MFer, right?
Yeah,
Fitzy's that MFer. So clearly Fitzpatrick and Brady.
Yeah. But I liked it. Because Fitzpatrick said, basically paraphrasing, he goes, "Yeah, how dare Baker go in there?"
He said, "Sick burn, Tom Brady. Way to cut Baker down to size. Can't believe he has the nerve to win over the Bucs locker room and fans with his playing style and personality."
Shots fired. Love it. But I thought Brady was very complimentary of the Buccaneers and Baker in general, way more than just this little aside.
Oh, he was great on the broadcast, just as an aside too. And I think it's because he had so much familiarity with obviously the Bucs personnel, the coaching staff. Like you could tell, like he was much more in his comfort zone.
Yeah, and he was. I thought, I haven't watched the whole game of him. I didn't think he was very good to start out, but I watched this whole game obviously, and I thought he was fantastic. He gave us a lot of insight into the players, and yeah, I think you're right because he knows the players so well. It was definitely his comfort zone. And he was good. I thought he was really, really good. All right, we have to do this now.
Oh, we have to do it. I don't even want to take a break. I think we got to roll right into it.
Let's do it. It's like I'm running to the principal's office, like in that dread where you're like, you're going to get 6 whacks with the paddle that has, Mr. Tolles, my old vice principal, had holes in the paddle. Pat Burnham, as we bring him in from the Osceola Rivals Network covering Florida State. I don't know if you're old enough to have gotten whacked. Yes, Nick. We used to get whacked by the principal or the assistant principal. When you did crap wrong, they would march you down and you knew you had to deal with it. And he was going to take out his paddle and smack you on the ass. Yes, that happened in school, and things were better for
you. You either got the paddle or after school detention. It was up to you. You got a choice.
Well, detention was fine because there was always pretty girls in detention. But getting that whack, it's brutal. But fun. Needed.
Luckily, I was used to it from home. So
exactly.
we had a choice growing up. You could pick a switch. You had to go pick it yourself. and it better be the right switch. You got my dad's fraternity paddle, or you got the leather belt, but he gave you an option.
I got the belt at home, but
he was going to let you pick your poison.
We had a guy, an old drunk by the name of Mr. Tolles, and this is not a joke. So you'd march down, and then and he literally would pull out the drawer where he had the paddle, right? And as he pulled out the drawer, you'd hear the tinkling of the bottles hitting each other because he's been drinking all day. So he just reeks of alcohol. He's like, bend over, and he hits you on your ass. That's like, yes, this happened in school, kids. It actually happened. I'm not saying it was right, but it certainly worked. Kept people in line. So I'm to transition over. So Pat, I guess you're playing the role of the principal here, and you're going to have to whack some people on the ass today. And this is just, they're out of line. The behavior is awful. And I'll start with the head coach. That is the most disgusting display in all season long, honestly. Lack of adjustments, terrible play calling, horrible fourth down calls, allowing the most undisciplined play, the undisciplined coaching. The staff's out of line. The players are out of line. The coach is out of line. It's just, this is the worst football I've ever seen. This makes the Willie Taggart era look like the Patriots dynasty. It's awful on so many levels. Does that cover it?
Yeah, I kind of told somebody, I guess it was Saturday night or Sunday. Obviously, it's been the talk of town. I mean, this is an epic failure on all levels. I mean, you've gone from a 13-1 team to now a 1-4 team. And realistically, JP, the way they're playing and the way they are responding to coaching, which, I've got some questions about, can they hold on to this locker room moving forward? In today's transfer portal, NIL-driven world, this team did not play very well. We all know that. We knew the offense was flawed coming into this game. I think my biggest disappointment was there was no momentum carried over into this game. The intensity level was different, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I think the defense had to know it has to carry the day for this particular FSU football team. We talked about that last week. There was no fire from this defense. We started seeing the same old again. You come right out of the gates, JP, and I've got my notes sitting here. SMU's first drive of the first half. The analytics and the film tell you this was an offense that wants to press the edge of the defense. You would think that they would not have a lot of success getting out on the edge of this Florida State defense because it's speed in the defensive backfield, safety, so forth and so on. But right away, first play of the game, jet sweep, give up, contain for 9 yards, and then
have we contained once this year?
Oh, it was awful in this game. Now, obviously, it was better against Cal, and listen, they played good defense against Memphis. They played good enough for Florida State to win that ball game when you hold somebody to the number of points that Memphis would end up scoring. But yeah, listen, man, it's disjointed. They don't look together on any form. They don't look prepared. They're not a physical football team. I know you saw one of my posts where, I'm not trying to pick on number 12 for Florida State, who I believe is Hussey, but he goes over there. He wants to catch the guy and kind of ride him out of bounds. And then all of a sudden he gets him out of bounds, whistle blows. I'm going to be a tough guy. I'm going to push you all the way to the wall. I mean, that you either are coaching that or allow it to happen. You're coaching non-physical football, and then you're coaching undisciplined football because you can't do that. That's bad football. There's examples of it. You go to the third and fourth down situation on the goal line where you're going to run and Mike doubled down on it in his press conference, said, I absolutely believed in the call where he ran DJ on 2 quarterback powers. And, and they're the same play twice in a row. One time you bring Toafili. And first of all, if you're going to have a lead blocker, Toafili doesn't need to be in the game. Put Cam Davis in the ball game.
And if you're going to have a runner, Toafili should be the runner.
I mean, look, he's your only consistent playmaker on offense, and he's the only guy that would have run the ball with any kind of urgency. You watch Lawrence did whiff on the block coming. They brought him from the back.
He's not a lead blocker.
Yeah,
what are you asking him to do that for?
But then you're 255 pounds. You ought to be able to run over a 5'10" and 185-pound running back. And, oh, by the way, how about jumping out and extending the ball? So Mike doubles down on a fourth down, runs the same play. Only this time he puts Toafili on the play side, but it's the same play. And DJU does not run the ball with enthusiasm. I mean, so again, bad play calling. The penalties were absurd. You take away a 67-yard punt from Mastromano because somebody holds. It was a clear hold. Luckily, they got out of that, JP. It was a difference in 35 yards. SMU would have started with the ball in the 17 as opposed to the 50. And so what they do is, in essence, they take away Mastromano flipping the field. Yeah. Would it have made a difference? We'll never know. But, I mean, it's just
it all makes a difference.
It's just one thing after the other. I mean, you've got
passes for interceptions, followed by more penalties, followed by more drops, followed by face masking to give the SMU to keep the ball on a third and long situation. And the guy that does the face mask goes right back out onto the field. Zero accountability.
Yes.
I mean, there's zero accountability here, Pat. When the one thing that coaches have in terms of the hammer to stop things from happening is playing time. And if guys continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, how do you keep putting them on the field?
Well, listen, he finally started going wholesale young guys late in the game. Now, the game was over. We all get that. It was over when they got to 28, really. I mean, let's be honest. This team was never going – you had to hope that they would keep on hitting that glass.
Well, that great SMU defense. You never know. Yeah.
And listen, you didn't complete a pass the last 16 minutes of the ball game. You went 0 for 10. The last from the time they scored the 16th point to Landon Thomas, 6:21 left in the third quarter. Florida State did not complete a pass the rest of the ball game. 0 for 10 with one interception, which was a pick six. And listen, if you want to go watch a kid that's not giving up and is hustling and needs to be an example for the rest of that offensive football team, go watch Lawrence Toafili chase down that guy all the way to the damn end zone. There's not enough guys playing with that sense of urgency, that sense of effort, and this is on Mike Norvell and his entire coaching staff. This is an embarrassment. Get beat 42-16 by SMU. And listen, as soon as they hit adversity in the second half with the pick, it was over. Yeah. You go watch that next series on defense. I mean, listen, this is a team that doesn't like to hit. It's a team that doesn't play with any sense of urgency. It looks discombobulated from the sideline to the playing field. It's just an epic fail. Listen, I think Clemson can name that. I think they can name it right now. I think the biggest question on this Saturday is, hey, does Dabo want to come in and make this an efficient win and go out and make it 35-3 and get back to Clemson, South Carolina in 3.5 hours? Or does he want to go ahead and put the death knell in this program for this particular season?
Well, if he's smart, he'll put the death knell in him, because this is their main competition, and they are laying down spread eagle.
Well, they're staring 1-7 in the face right now, because the next three opponents, it's Clemson, but remember, Duke is all of a sudden 5-0, which I can't.
They're staring 1-11 in the face.
Then you got to play Miami right after that. Like, the only two winnable games I see left are North Carolina, because they're probably just a little bit better than Florida State, but that could be a toss.
And Mac does not beat Florida State. I mean, it's just a proven point. He's 0 whatever against Florida State, so you got to feel pretty good about your chances there. But listen, I'm with you. Like, I thought, I thought maybe going into the season, or coming out of the Cal game, hey, maybe you get Duke and North Carolina, but you got Duke on the road. What we do know is this team does not travel well. They did not respond to we thought defense and special teams travels. It did not. Offense, we knew was going to be whatever. I mean, I told you guys 3 weeks ago there was no cure for what else Florida State on offense. You can't run the ball. They don't block hard. There's no strength. I mean, go watch the tape. And you got fifth-year seniors getting called for 2 holding penalties. You got a coach that's can't figure out what to do with his talent. What a talent there is on this football team.
There are answers here, Pat. These guys are not terrible football players. They're not all terrible football players.
No, there's good football players.
No, but they've got the talent on this team is at worst middle of the pack in college football. At worst, I would say it's probably top 40 in terms of talent.
There's almost no reason for a Florida State football team never to win fewer than 8 games.
Right.
It's
with the money that the coaches are paid, that the players are paid, by the way, the brand of this university, all of that. You can't, like, it's impossible to be this bad.
So, so listen, and Mike said in this press conference, I still believe in these guys. He said something similar to what you said. There's talent. But listen, if there's talent there and we're still going through this, these things aren't translating to Saturdays. If that's still the argument, we'll find out what he says here in another 15 minutes when he starts his Monday press conference. But listen, this reminds me, and I'm not in the building, but we're around the program and you get a sense of energy and all those kind of things. And it kind of reminds me of our last year at USF. Now, obviously, where we kind of went lethargically through the season, kids were not responding to coaching. And listen, these guys, these college football coaches, I remember Skip Holtz telling our staff one day, I pay you to find a way to reach these kids. If you don't know what's going on with one of your kids, that's on you. You control your room. It's your job to figure out how to communicate and how to teach these kids. And right now, just based on the way they're playing, whatever message Mike is delivering to this team and whatever message these assistant coaches are delivering to their position groups seems to be falling on deaf ears, JP. Because we know, listen, my brother has been in football for 25 years, and he goes, there's not a whole lot of teams that would, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that would change personnel with Florida State.
Right.
So
how about that?
Yeah. So,
how about that?
It's crazy to think that we're sitting here looking at a team that we could say they got a puncher's chance at beating Clemson. I don't see how you watch any film and think that, but listen, I'm just saying, they're going to play the game, but listen, we're looking at a team that has just imploded a program. And listen, here's the thing. I don't think this is a 1-year fix. Like, I think this is going to be 2026 before they're ready to be competing or be an upper echelon ACC team. If you go look at who they're losing this year and what they're bringing back, so they're going to have to go portal shopping. And we know they didn't hit on the portal this year. And now,
who's going to want to play here?
Is the portal part of the problem? Well, it certainly is this year. The team chemistry is not the same. You got a bunch of new faces that are playing. You got guys that you brought in that are not playing well. I think there's a number of problems right now with this program. And we know the solution is not this year. And we know that Mike has to be thinking about making some changes on and off the field, and there will be changes. If this goes as bad as what it looks like right now, there will be changes. I hate to say that because I hate to see anything like that happen. It's happened to me on 2 different times on 2 different colleges, and it's not fun. And listen, I said the year we went 3-9 at South Florida, we kind of deserve what we got. And South Florida is a school that I love, and I would have loved to spend my whole career there, but we kind of did it to ourselves. And
you guys lost a lot in that last year.
Yeah.
You lost every end of the game moment you possibly could have, and should have easily had 7 wins, which keeps you going. But
we didn't. We had some of the same similarities, lack of leadership on either side of the ball. I'm not going to name any names from that team, and so there's some great kids on that team. But listen, I think it's so confounding and so hard for any of us to wrap our heads around that what we're seeing on film is the same Florida State program that played last year. Now, I wish they'd keep wearing all the white helmets because I hardly recognize them when I turn on the television. So that helps me because I'm like, who's that? But once they start playing football, I know exactly who it is. Yeah. That's the bad point. But listen, I think there's going to be some hard decisions made, and then how will losing affect this roster and who decides to jump in the portal. We've seen the new thing in the portal now is for a kid to play in 4 games and declare his own red shirt, and I'm getting out. And I'm not saying that's going to happen because Florida State's already into its 6th week of the season. But
they can't do that now.
Do you have anybody that fits that bill? And
ones that haven't played, younger.
What is the portal going to look? What is the exit going to look like after this season? Since you are losing and looks like you're going to continue to lose, I think there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about where this program's going right now.
Well, I think Nick, you want to get in here? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, at least I'm searching for like positives to take from this game, and I know that's hard. They're very
Alex
small.
Mastromano and Lawrence Toafili.
Well, yeah, it's like Mastromano to me. It's like if the Florida State has a chance to punt, I don't even care if it's 4th and 1 at the freaking opponent's 48-yard line. Like at this point, let's just showcase Mastromano to the NFL because he's probably the best punter in all of college football.
Well, then you turn it over to a defense that doesn't want to hit anybody, which is terrible.
It doesn't matter. But I was going to say,
here's my concern.
I was going to say real quick what like sums up like this. Like, forget DJU. That's obvious. Like, anybody could tell you he probably should not be playing moving forward, but, like, even, like, 84 on offense, Morlock. Like, this is, like, game after game after game after game where he just can't catch the football. And then Landon Thomas, who's your true freshman tight end that was highly recruited, is catching touchdowns.
Yeah, and listen, I think that's just what happens when you're not a good football team, right? You got a guy that was an All-American Division II level, was a great complimentary piece last year in that offense, but now he's the guy. I mean, he's going into the season, he was the most dependable pass catcher you had. Now he can't catch a cold in January. Is it the fact that he is the guy, can't handle it? We saw a guy like Conrad Hussey last year, who everybody was fired up about coming into the season this year, and then he plays awful against. He's a guy that has the potential to be a really good football player, JP and Nick, and he's just not living up to it. Didn't want it on Saturday night. I mean, you watch the film; it speaks for itself. I'm baffled, and again, at the end of the day, this comes down to whatever message is being preached inside those meeting rooms by either Mike Norvell or assistant coaches. It's not being responded to. We've heard the same thing week in and week out. We don't see this happening in practice, and it shows up in the game. And I'll say the same thing I said 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when you've either got to change the way you practice, change the way you coach, or change the kids and coaching.
This is why it's so unbelievable, because coaches make adjustments. That's at essence what coaching is all about. Is you see what your team is doing, you see what you have available, and you make adjustments. That's why things typically, when you're somewhat competent in coaching, they regress to the mean. If you've been horrible at this, you make the adjustments, and especially when you have talent. If you have no talent, even then you can make adjustments and be better. Well, when you have this kind of talent, you should be able to make adjustments and be way better than what you've been. And that just means the coaches are freaking clueless, like clueless. Like there has to be a change on offensive coordinator. Mike cannot call the plays anymore. Sorry, you're done. We're bringing something, and this is on Mike Alford at this point. Because if Mike Norvell's not going to do it, you're his boss, and you need to walk in there and go, okay, you're changing this. And I look, it's hard to do midseason. I get it, because who are the candidates out there? And everybody's got it. The good ones have a job already, right?
What are you talking about? Head coach or assistant coaches?
Assistant coaches. You can't get rid of Norvell.
Well,
but
no,
you can tell Norvell to do some stuff that he needs to do. If he doesn't get it, make him do it. I mean, lock him in his room if he doesn't want to do it.
I'll say this: I think there will be pressure to make changes, and listen, it's not going to be Mike Alford who's going to apply the pressure. It's going to be the guys that give the money.
That's what I mean by
listen, I don't think he's going to make any in-season changes. I just think that would be a bad look at this point. You gave a bunch of these guys contract extensions. That's the other part of this. Some of these guys got 2-year extensions, so you're going to be on the hook for some money with those guys, even if you let them go. Who are you going to let go? I mean, I think everyone's got their own personal opinion on that. It's not up for – we'll debate that at another time when when we see those changes coming. But, yeah, listen, if this program goes – let's just say they go 4-8. There's changes coming. If they go 6-6, which they're not going to go 6-6, there's changes coming. You cannot have this. Listen, the message from some of these position groups tell you, or what we're seeing in the play from some of these position groups is telling you that the message is not being relayed in an effective way to produce results on Saturday. And maybe some voices have grown stale, or maybe we're seeing that some of these coaches can only coach top-tier players and have a hard time developing kids.
I mean, coach Jared Verse.
Yeah, I could too. I mean, hey, see ball.
Pay me that kind of money.
But yeah, listen, I think to me, the disappointing thing was there was no energy from this football team.
None.
To try to get a second game in a row, get a win, get a conference win, at least give yourself some false hope of, hey, we can still get to a bowl game, those kind of things.
They just don't care. I mean, these kids don't care. They really don't.
Listen, I guess, I think you got to go back and look at individual effort to teach you that, to tell you that, because I do think there are some kids that play very
there are
hard.
some. Yeah, I agree.
But to go back to your point, JP, on the adjustments things, I think if you go back, and it certainly happened at Memphis. I believe it happened at Boston College. Certainly happened in this game, and it might have happened in Cal. I can't remember. But the second half, teams have come out and gone for long drives on Florida State. Obviously SMU got a gift on the interception, but if you come down to their first real drive of the game where they had to drive the field, they go, they drive it 73 yards.
So they're making adjustments.
So they're making adjustments. And obviously, when you look at what happened in the second half, Florida State was not.
And FSU was such a great second half team last year. That was their calling card, right? They were so good. And here's the problem when it comes. Look, every program goes through bad years and cycles. We get that. But here's the problem where they stand right now. It's with Clemson and Miami, two chief rivals coming up. This team is so bad. There are losses and there are program debilitating losses. Like, well, you have recruits out there and they watch your team get beat 72-0, which I think if Clemson wants to, they could beat Florida State 72-0. I think actually 212-0, which is the record, Georgia Tech versus Cumberland, is in danger. I think it's in danger. They can literally name the score. And if you go out there and do that, and if they don't pull their first team, and after what we did in COVID a few years ago to Clemson, I wouldn't if I were them. They like Dabo knows he can bury Florida State, and like with the most, and Miami can too. Both of these programs can scar FSU for life. That's how bad this team is, and it's ready to quit. That's my real concern. That you can have a 72-0 followed by a 68-3. Like, that's very possible in these two games.
And you got Duke in between them at Duke, which is a weird place to play.
Yeah, and then lose 45-3 at Duke.
Oh, like, God.
Throw it all in.
You want to talk about a program changing loss? It's
possible. It's completely possible.
Yeah, let's hope that. I mean, let's hope if they lose. I hate to talk about close losses, but damn. 42-3 against Duke.
As long as DJ and listen, we kind of let DJU off the hook, and I still believe, and I don't know. I turned the game off. I went and watched Georgia Alabama, two real teams play. So I didn't see the fourth quarter. I didn't see Brock play, but clearly he didn't complete a pass. But
you can't complete a pass when you're having to pick yourself off the damn.
That's what I thought. I probably thought he was. I saw the one play where
at one time, JP. This was a stat, I believe, in late in the third quarter. It might have been early fourth. It was certainly before Brock got in the game. FSU, DJU had been taken to the ground or hit 11 times, and that was, I think he threw 24 passes, 25 passes, something. No, he threw 30 of the 34. So he was hit on almost half his attempts, and then Brock got his bell rung a couple times. And listen, again, I agree with you. I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to go to Brock and let him see what he can do. You can't be worse on offense. If you are, so what? You get. It's just like Landon Thomas. Landon Thomas gets indoctrinated into college football early in the third quarter with a holding penalty. He's trying to reach a cutoff block, but then later in the quarter he catches the touchdown pass. You're going to live a little bit of that if you go to the youth movement that everybody wants, and that's you're going to have to be. If you're an FSU fan, you're just going to have to deal with it. I mean, the rest of the season. But if you want the youth movement, which we started to see in the fourth quarter of this game, actually third quarter, because once Morlock dropped that pass, I don't think he got thrown to again.
Good.
And I think they put Landon in. Saw Amari Williams in, but you're going to have to live with some of the foolishness of not using proper technique, getting overrun because you're not strong enough to be in the game because you're having to play early like Landon and Amari are. But I think that you're starting to see that. But listen, I think everyone's kind of scratching their head. How did it get this bad? There's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of problems. I mean, it's not just one thing. But you're right. The bridge quarterback experiment has not worked for a lot of reasons. That it's not all on DJU. This offensive line is awful. You do not have a receiver for the most part that can get consistent separation. You look at even when DJ had time, sometimes there was nobody open. And listen, SMU was not a great secondary coming to this game. 222 yards given up per game last back half of the NCAA. And
scheme it open. Scheme it open. Quick passes.
For what it's worth.
It's not hard.
The depth chart.
The Bucks do it yesterday.
For what it's worth, the depth chart just came out, and Brock is listed as the co-starter for the first time.
Oh, well, thank God.
Well, there you go.
Progress.
I think they owe it. The only thing I'll say to that is he should have been done last week, and he should have got more reps. I would probably think that what that means is he's going to play a certain number of possessions against Clemson without hearing Mike talk, which he will be talking here in about 30 seconds or so. Greatly, I'll be able to watch that on YouTube when we're done here. But listen, I think that I think it's kind of unfair that now you're doing it like when you have Clemson coming in.
Yeah, exactly. We said this last week. Send him out against SMU.
Yeah.
Get him ready during the week. Give him every snap as a starter during the week. Let him play against SMU and then let him play against Clemson. And this is ridiculous. Now you're going to
yeah, listen. This is
we got to move on. We got to move on. So,
all right, boys.
Thank you. Tell everybody what you got going this week and how they
go to theosceola.com and check out all our post-game coverage. I am steadily working my way through the game and what we call Second Look Sunday, where I notate sometimes I do every single play of a drive. If it's a short drive, sometimes I'll do a synopsis, but break down the entire game. Some of the other members of the staff are joining in, but you have to be a subscriber to the Osceola to see that content. So please go to theosceola.com and check us out. Then we'll have Mike's press conference, news about Mike's press conference today, the depth chart, all that good stuff. And then tomorrow we'll do Takeaway Tuesday, which is going to be painful to write, but that will be kind of my takeaways from the game and against SMU and what it means going into the rest of the year. But appreciate you having me on, JP.
Thank you, Pat. Great job, buddy. As always.
We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. All right, quick break. When we come back, Corey Long's going to join us. We'll talk some USF, some Alabama, Georgia, some of this other college football stuff that's going on, real football. And we'll also get into maybe a little lightning as well. Quick break. Back after this. Stay with us. September is here, and it's time to celebrate with the stunning birthstone of the month. It's Sapphire at the Gold and Diamond Source. Known for their natural beauty and glamorous allure, Sapphire's truth, sincerity, and faithfulness make it the perfect stone for September. During the 40th anniversary, you can find a special selection of this precious gemstone, from stunning rings and necklaces to elegant earrings and bracelets. Steve Weintraub handpicks every piece for its brilliance and its quality. The expert staff will help you find the perfect gift, whether it's for a loved one, a special occasion, or just to treat yourself. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source today, where you'll always find the perfect gift. It's more than jewelry, it's love. At the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the J.P. Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Man, it is just brutal. The more I look at it, the worse it looks. All right, let's bring in our good friend Corey Long, who covers all kinds of college football. Was at the Bucs game yesterday, covers the Bolts as well. What's up, Corey? How are you, partner?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, the Bucs got a win. That was fun to watch yesterday, wasn't it? The Baker show. That was fun.
Yeah, they played exceptionally well. I think Todd Bowles certainly. He has he always has. He gives Jalen Hurts a lot of problems. What Todd Bowles does on defense is just something that Jalen Hurts has not really been able to figure out yet. So
yeah, that was fun to watch. But I wanted to get into some college football with you, my friend, that you are such the expert on. Because we talked a lot about FSU, but if you want to throw some salt in the wounds, feel free. I mean, you have been warning me about this coaching staff for quite some time. And last year it was a little bit of, well, they're not doing so bad now, Corey. But now this season has been ugly. And a lot of the soft underbelly, lack of recruiting and everything else that you've been talking about has come to fruition.
Well, I was thinking about something. It kind of brought me back to his first season in 2020 when, obviously they came out the gate struggling. They weren't a very good team. And, they pull out, they end up pulling out, end up going, they're hosting North Carolina, that I think was a top 10 team at the time. A very good North Carolina team. End up, just pulling out a win, having a great performance that night. And, and I really think it was a big win early in his tenure because there just weren't a lot of wins on that schedule for them. They were banged up. They weren't deep. They had a lot of problems. But the fact that he was able to that team was able to put it together for a game, be the top 10 team at home. I think any questions about him at the time, were definitely like. There were definitely a lot of concerns were eased because okay, this guy can get something out of these guys even in a bad season. So, this week you get Clemson at home, double-digit underdogs. They're top 15 team and they're playing really well. I don't know if they're going to win. It's a lot to ask of them, but. If they've got one really good, strong, inspiring performance left in them, this would be the week to do it.
I just don't think they have the horses to compete or the coaches. It's laughable. What's the number? If it's less than 50, I'm going to lay my entire life savings on Clemson.
It's 2 touchdowns. I know that.
Yeah, I think
in the first half,
which is interesting because
that can't be right.
I'm turned off by betting anyway because I told you that UCF was a 14-point favorite over Colorado, and you saw how that worked out. And somehow the line is the same exact thing for Clemson and Florida State, and we know that one's probably going to be even worse.
That's crazy. That's bananas. There's no. I mean, I'm literally every time you say that's the most ridiculous line you've ever seen, you bet it and you lose. But I don't think Florida State. I literally can, there's no way Florida State can keep it within 2 touchdowns. Whatever.
Yeah, I just think of this team. This team certainly, I don't lines really physically, but I certainly think Florida State's defensive line can always put together a strong performance. They can always make a difference. Josh Farmer has had some really good moments this year. Some other guys on that line, Pat Payton, and and others have, even against SMU, Grady Kelly got a sack. The kid that came from Oregon State, Lolo Hia, whatever his name is, he had a sack. They've got guys there. So, but they got to figure out how to do something on offense. And I don't know that next week is. I don't see them starting Brock Glenn against Clemson. I wouldn't do that personally.
No.
So not against that defensive line. And then I wonder. I just kind of wonder who's checked out. Who's There's a lot going on with that program, but if they this is one of those games where I think they've at least got to show that they still got some fight in them. If they don't, it's just hard to look and see where there's wins left on the schedule.
No, there are none. Did you get a chance to watch the USF Tulane game?
Yeah, and it's just I thought it was just a really disappointing performance. Overall, I think it was one of those. It's hard to take you seriously when you talk about how important conference games are and how this is when the real season starts and you go out there and lay an egg like that. It's not to say that you win. Tulane's on a very good program for the last few years, so losing the game on the road isn't something shameful. But going out there and just getting boat raced 45-10, could have been a lot worse. They just looked like they never got out the gate, and they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared to play, and that falls on a coaching staff that I really like for the most part. I think they've done a lot of good jobs. Saturday was not a day for them was not a day that they shined at all. It was just a bad. There's just not very much you can take from that. It's a bad performance. You hope Byron Brown isn't injured seriously.
Yeah. He's got a boot on, but
really hamper your offense. But I also watched that game, and before the injury, I just think they're throwing too much with him. I think he's not a great passer, and I think he's a pretty good runner, and I think running just opens up a lot more for them, both on the ground game and might probably gives them some easier passing lanes to throw to. But they're forcing a lot of pass right now. It's just
they had 26 yards rushing on 25 carries, so that's not good.
Yeah. You got to go out there. You got to establish a run game. They've got some backs. They've got a quarterback they can run. Excuse me. They're better than that. So that was, it wasn't a good day. Obviously, UCF, I don't know what the hell. I just, that was one I had wrong. I thought they were going to run the ball exceptionally well against Colorado.
Yeah, what happened there?
Be explosive. Colorado stacked on them. They stacked that line. They really challenged them physically to run. UCF could not run the ball on them. They did not trust the pass enough, and Colorado just physically. That was the first game that I thought they physically put it together on both sides of the line. They, for the most part, protected Shedeur. Travis Hunter is just he's an incredible football player. He's an exceptional football player. He's one of the best. He's probably the best in the country. he's one of the best I've seen in the 21st century. So he's just,
I would agree.
He's just exceptional. And, it was their day. I mean, you can't take it away. I mean, they from start to finish, they did what they wanted to do out there. I think it was I was shocked because UCF does not. They don't lose games like that at home anymore.
Yeah.
They don't go. They're in the bounce house. They are a tough team to beat. They're not, and the games that they lose are not. With that sort of a margin. So that's it makes you wonder. Is Colorado finally, turned that corner? They finally figured out that they can be a pretty good team this year. So,
yeah. Well,
I think UCF will be back.
The weird part is UCF and Colorado both surprised me on the line of scrimmage. There was no pressure on Shedeur at all, who they've been giving up record numbers of sacks, and UCF couldn't run the ball at all. So that was a shock to me. I don't know if this is something that Colorado's found or if it was just ineptness on the part of UCF. I don't know, but going
back to the second half of the Nebraska game. This has been the trend for Colorado's defense as they've started to really pick it up. The level of competition, not great. Like, I think UCF is probably, outside of Nebraska, the best team they've played, but this was the most complete game they have played in the Deion Sanders era by far.
And against, legitimate, I think UCF's a legitimate top 40 team out there. So it's not only, and especially at home, UCF, I think, even they move a little higher because they're just tough to beat at home. So for that team to put together that sort of performance against UCF on the road, I think it's really one they should hang their hats on. Sometimes, hell with that. If Deion wants to brag this week, you got every right to brag because that's when you hang your hat on. That's a win.
He wouldn't do
I think
that.
UCF will be back. I think UCF will be locked in this week when they go to play for practice when they go to play Florida. I'm not done with UCF yet. This is a bad week, certainly one that they'll want to forget, but I think they'll be locked in when they head to Gainesville this weekend.
Okay, Corey. So you've covered college football for a long, long time, as have I in this state. I've never seen it this bad across the board, with the exception of Miami, and Miami may not be as good as we thought they were. They should have lost that game the other night, not just because of the Hail Mary, but they were down 10 points the entire fourth quarter, but whatever. But Miami's pretty good. But when you look across this state and the talent that's in this state, I mean, and I'm pointing at UCF, I'm pointing at USF, I'm definitely pointing at FSU and Florida. Like, this is completely unacceptable. The amount these coaches are getting paid, these facilities that they have, the recruiting in their own backyard. I mean, this is really, really bad. And where does the blame lie? Like, why are these programs? I mean, FSU had a good year last year. Okay. But this is bad. I mean, USF should be, knocking on the door of the top 25 every year. So just like UCF, FSU should be in the top 10, and Florida should be in the top 10 every year with what they have to work with. What the F is going on?
Well, I think in the cases, especially if you look at Florida State and Florida, I just don't think they've recruited well. I think Florida State is recruited terribly in state. I just don't think they do a very good job. I don't think they've ever done a good job in state recruiting under Norvell. My issues right out the gate with him were that he didn't have anybody in the staff that he hired, that first staff that he hired, that had any ties to Florida.
I know.
None.
You called it out.
And I don't think he prioritized. I don't think he. I'm curious of how he feels about Florida high school kids. I don't think it's a positive feeling. I don't think he has really
that's insane.
Feelings.
That's insane. That's insane.
Say that, but he's not the first guy. He's not the first coach out there that feels that way. There are many out there that aren't crazy about the kids in this state for whatever reason. They think they're just overvalued. But he's not afraid to recruit kids to the Southeast. He loves kids in Mississippi. God, he loves recruiting that area. And he loves recruiting, some different parts of like the Southern Gulf Coast, like Texas. But as I always said, when you start getting into like Alabamas and Mississippis, Louisianas, there's a lot of wonderful kids there. I think they have very tough kids, very good kids, but you have a finite number of them, and most of them are going to go to the SEC. So you have slim pickings, and so it's just you're making things a lot harder on yourself.
Yeah,
Florida's the same way. I don't think that staff has done a really good job in state at all. And again, and I think Napier has some guys. He has quite a few guys that have ties in the state, but I just don't think they've done a very good job. And then of course Florida has, they had NIL issues. They've had a lot of organizational things that have kind of held them back a little bit. There's a few things different that have held them back. As I can say, with Mike Norvell, they can compare the two, but I can say Norvell's got a 10 win on he's got a 13 win on his resume. Like he can win football games. I don't know that Billy Napier can win football games. I know Mike Norvell can.
He's proven it. Yeah.
And but Miami's recruited exceptionally well, and that's what Mario Cristobal does. Like he's not.
And they've recruited Florida kids. They've recruited Florida really, really well. Right.
Yeah, and that he's from Miami. He went to Columbus High School in Miami. There are a lot of people. I'm not sure, how much about the kind of the Miami-Dade like power broker system, especially among Cuban Americans. But there's two major high schools in Miami-Dade for Cuban Americans: Columbus High School and Berlin Jesuit. And pretty much anybody who's anything in that community is Cuban American went to one of those two high schools. So he's got a lot of resources to choose from. A lot of people that are very heavily
his ties to high school in Florida. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very heavily invested in success. And he just, he's very comfortable down in the big Tri-County area down there. He knows everybody. Everybody knows him. He takes advantage. He's taking advantage of, the area that he's very familiar with. And, and also, the time that he spent under Nick Saban, I think, changed him quite a lot in terms of how he values. He knows what he wants. He knows the type of team that he wants. And he's finally been able to get it at Miami. Like, they're bigger up front. They're strong on the lines. They've got playmakers. So, that's kind of why they're having a better season this year. Right. I think both UCF and USF. I thought UCF has done a decent job overall. I think they did a really good job. They did a good job in the portal at kind of filling some holes that they got exposed with last year by jumping into a power conference. USF, it's a tough job. I think they do a really good job at getting what they can. I do. I think Alex Golish and that staff really go hard on their trail to get what they can. It's so much harder now to recruit in G5 than it was 10, 15 years ago. It just is, because the kids that go, if they're having success, they're not going to stay. So it's hard to build a lot of sustainability. They've done a job, in terms of like portal recruiting, they've done a good job at identifying kids that are playing out of state that are around the area that are interested in coming back home and getting on those kids, the ones that can play especially. So, I think there's flaws you can point out at all of the spots, but I think where Florida and Florida State have to improve at is just what they're doing in state recruiting. They have to commit to it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I've talked to too many high school people in this area alone, and I always ask them the same question. Like, who do you see from Florida State all the time? Like, who's your guy? And they're like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. That should be top of mind. If it's a major high school that's pumping out D1 talent every year and you don't know who that guy is, that's a problem. And that exists in Tampa Bay. And that's why FSU doesn't recruit Tampa Bay very well. Yeah.
They love hanging out in Louisiana, Mississippi a lot. They just don't like.
Well,
Florida.
that's where he went when he was in Memphis. It's time to move
Yeah,
on.
It's
time to move on.
Areas.
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable doing it, so be it. You got to do it. All right, Corey, good stuff, my man. Thank you for joining us today and giving us some insight into this college football disaster that's happening in the state of Florida. You're right on top of it. I appreciate you, buddy. You can follow Corey on Twitter.
As I told my friend, bad week of watching college football is better than a good week of doing damn near anything else.
That's true. That's absolutely true. 100%. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
All right. Yeah, it is. I mean, we are getting excited about college football. There's a lot bigger things going on in the world, obviously here in the Tampa Bay area and the Southeast. So let's hit our final break here real quick. We'll come back and wrap it up with some of the great comments and discussions that are going on. Quick break, back in 3. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by all of our great sponsors. Italiano Insurance. You probably need some issues. You have issues with your insurance company. This is why you go with Italiano. They can help you out in times like this. So if you're looking for a new homeowner's insurance company or getting flood insurance because you don't have it, now's the time to get it, folks, before the rates go really through the roof. So if you don't have flood insurance and you realize you got to have it, 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. Get it now. I read so much, Nick, about people who didn't have flood insurance. I'm like, well, you haven't been watching the JP Peterson Show because we talk about that all the time. So we had a little discussion going on here with more right rudder saying FSU sued the conference stating that SMU and company would be a disvalue to the conference. The court records are public, buddy. Talking to. Basically, they didn't sue SMU, was my point. FSU didn't sue SMU directly. They sued the conference and mentioned that they bring in SMU. It's another brand that doesn't have large media rights value, another mouth to feed that doesn't bring in enough money. Doesn't mean they're not a good university, but
I'm sorry. I'm like reading all these quotes in real time from Norvell from the press conference. And I'm like, I can't wait to listen to it after the show because some of these sound very spicy here.
Oh, really?
He was asked about like the depth chart and he said like, honestly, I don't really care about the depth chart whatsoever, what I write on there. And like, I actually discussed putting an or on every single position. And so basically said it doesn't matter. And then like on the interception play or the pick six, like he even like admitted that they graded a lot of players as loafs on that play, which I'm like, well, at least you're actually saying it.
Yeah, good. That's a start. Call people out. Start with yourself, which he has done. He says he's done a horrible job, and he's right. More right. Rudder says that pick six will be DJU's last important down of football. God, I hope you're right, partner. I hope you're right. Please let it be so. He said, JP, I won't let you slide either. You said multiple times last week that FSU is much more dominant in the trenches than SMU. I think they said they should be. I think they said they should be.
All bets are off now.
Yeah. Don't. I said SMU was going to win the game, so don't get it twisted. Said it the whole time. FSU's not going to win another game. They're not going to beat SMU. So yeah, absolutely. I know you're an SMU fan, but let's not change what we said. FSU. And I wouldn't get all butt hurt that FSU said SMU wasn't bringing value. SMU said themselves they weren't bringing value because they said they wouldn't take any money for 9 years, and they don't need to take any money because they're ridiculously rich. They're a very affluent, highly endowed university, and they just want to get put on the map in a major conference. So it was smart of them to say, "Yeah, we'll jump in. You don't have to pay us." I think it was a good. Actually, I think it was a good move for the ACC to do that and not have to pay them. So why did you not do that?
Hey, who I did want to shout out today before we go?
And by the way, SMU, you didn't beat anybody big. Your comeuppance is coming, so don't get your chest pumped out just yet, partner.
All right. We didn't really jump much outside of the Buccaneers today in the NFL, but can we just say that Jaden Daniels, man, I thought we'd never see another CJ Stroud rookie season like that at quarterback. And Jaden Daniels, through the first 4 weeks, is tracking to have an even better one than CJ Stroud did. I mean, he's completing 82% of his passes. He doesn't make a bad decision. He makes plays with his legs. It looks so effortless.
I just wish I would have bet more money on him for player offensive rookie of the year.
The Washington Commanders are 3-1. We didn't even talk about that today. Honestly, and to translate this to the Bucs, that win looks better today, and that loss to Denver looks a little bit more able to stomach it because look at what they just did to the Jets offense. They did the same thing. The Jets looked even worse than the Bucs on offense.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I'm just saying the Broncos are 2-2. Clearly the Broncos have a damn good defense, one of the best in the NFL. That's clear to see. So, I mean, I still think this Bucs team is definitely upper echelon in the NFC. And with the Falcons coming off a big win in New Orleans where they did not falcon it away. These aren't your father's Falcons. They are turning a corner here of not giving away these games late somehow. This is 2 now that they've been able to get away with late. So that's going to be a fun one on Thursday night. I know Atlanta Thursday night. Do I even have to bring up what happened 10 years ago? It's sometimes it's a sore spot, but I think this Buccaneer team is going to be well equipped to go in there on Thursday.
We got lots of time to talk about that. I'm worried about Thursday night, just physically. That's a lot of guys in the ice tubs yesterday, mostly Eagles, but there's going to be guys that are just drained from that game yesterday. It was 107 out there, feels like temperature. It's hard to bounce back on a quick week. Well, meanwhile, the Falcons and the Saints played in the Dome. It's different. It's just different, and it's a short week. It's just, I don't know if their bodies can recover in time. They've got to travel. The trends on these numbers of teams traveling on a short week, and then you add in the game. I mean, it's going to be a true test of what they've talked about all week long. It's we know what we did against Denver. We're not going to let that happen again. We'll be ready with the intensity, blah, 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 blah. And I'm glad they're saying all the right things, but it's going to be really hard to do it. So if they can professionally go out there and play with that kind of effort in a huge game, it's a huge game. And what will really help if they can get some bodies back, some fresh bodies that didn't play this week, Kalijah Cansey, Antoine Winfield Jr., Luke Gedeke, that will help tremendously. Then get some depth back too. It's good to see Shepard make some plays. Trey Palmer make some plays. Trey Palmer went out with a concussion. So they need to get a bunch of guys back between now and Thursday. And that's going to be tough. It's
Yeah,
gonna be tough
they might on a short week. Maybe they don't rush these guys back because they're going to get the 10 days off before they play New Orleans, which is an equally important game. I think that one's on the road too, maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know who's closer between like a Cansey or Gedeke's is just he's got to be cleared by this independent neurologist, I believe, and obviously these are brain injuries, so we shouldn't be rushing him back into action if he's not ready to roll.
Yeah. So many comments. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get to all of you guys, but I read every one of them after the show, and everybody can read them during the show. So I appreciate all of you jumping in here. I will give Lonnie some love here, talking about the hurricane. But that's nothing compared to what others are going through. And it sucks that insurance is going to screw folks and take a long time. Some places and folks may never be back. And I agree with that. These insurance companies have been awful after Ian, and they're going to be even more so after this mess from Helene because it's so much more widespread, and they feel like they have to protect every dollar, and that sucks for the people that need the help. But if you need help, go call the Jeeves Law Group. They'll be happy to evaluate your case for free. And if they can't help you, they can certainly refer you to somebody that's reputable that they believe can get the job done. So start with the call to the Jeeves Law Group and go from there, because they will be able to help you. All right, partner, great stuff. I know there's so much more to get to. We got all week to talk about all of this stuff, so we'll get to it. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, we really appreciate you. If you missed anything, you can go back and watch it on X. You can watch it on Facebook, watch it on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to all those places. My new Twitter is @JP Peterson Show. Please jump on that as well. And like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple and Spotify. And you can listen to us anytime on there as you like. Have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourself. If you've been hurt by the storm, reach out to other people. And we got to do this all together. It's going to be a tough road, but we can do it together. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.